tools and note-taking capabilities ready. Your event begins in less than 3 minutes.
Hi, and good morning. Welcome to my
Good morning. It's Stacy with So Steady, and I am so happy to be here today to be sharing all of our amazing education with you. We've got another great class in store for you today. But today is our first Thursday of the month, and one of our goals with our first Thursday of the month is to really be able to take you through the basics. And so I wanted to share with you one of our basics, which is our ruler work guide. And if you don't have this, then I strongly encourage you to click the link that I shared in the chat just now. And I want you to download it. And then I also want you to go to our ruler work, I guess our beginner quilt series, which is on our So Steady University. And I'll post a link to that here in a bit as well, because this is a great way to get started ruler quilting. But first, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to walk through these basics that are in this guide, and then we'll go ahead and head on over to Kathy, where she'll be doing one of the amazing panel options that we have for our arrow quilt. So this is our second class in our arrow quilt series. Many of you have gotten your box. I will tell you, this particular panel and class kit is not included in your box. So this is one that you could decide, hey, I really love this design, and I think I want to go ahead and purchase that, whether it's the templates itself or the actual class kit that includes the panel as well. So heading back over to the ruler work guide, I want to go ahead and just walk through some basics here. I know Kathy is, will give you some of the basics in the class, but sometimes when we talk about a ruler work for beginners class, it really comes down to like, how do I do this? Like, what do I start with? Do I drop the feed dogs? Do I need a smooth flat sewing surface? So this class really takes you through, or this guide really takes you through like setup and terminology. We use quilting templates and ruler work templates interchangeably, and that can get confusing. So we're just going to walk through all of that with you right now. So ruler work, or quilting with templates, is used to describe the technique of quilting with templates and rulers. So we use a lot of those different words, and so it's important to recognize that they kind of all mean the same thing. Or even another great word we love to use is guided free motion. So that's something that if you really think about it, you're guiding that template along. You're guiding your quilting with that template. Another fun one is quilting with training wheels. That's probably one of my favorites. But really, you're learning how to free motion quilt with guides, with training wheels. And that's what this is really all about, because eventually you're going to be able to make some of these awesome designs without a ruler, and because you really are kind of muscle memory training yourself. And I know we love to talk about that a lot as educators. Okay, so as we go through here, we have our ruler foot. We all should have one of these amazing ruler foots. I know if you're one of our club box members, we sent you one out in your first box. We sent you one out in your second box. If you got the ruler boxes, so yep, you should definitely have one. The second box, you should have gotten this cool little insert that allows you to do jacquard thread with it as well. The first box would have just been the standard ruler foot without the insert. And so that ruler foot is a ½ inch in diameter. You should always have your needle perfectly center in that foot, because your foot is married to your template. So as you're making designs and you want them to come out symmetric, especially some of those spinning designs, having that needle right down the center of that foot is really important, because that means you're always a ½ inch away from the ruler. And then the other piece to this is just understanding that you really are tracing the edges of that template, and a lot of those templates have additional markings on them. So being able to use that foot to trace the edge, and you kind of see that in this picture right here, is really important. So making sure you have that ruler foot and it's not a darning foot. Sometimes people will say, oh, I have a round foot. Well, if it doesn't have a high wall, that's a problem, because you're putting your foot along the edge of a template. And so if it's a skinny little, doesn't have that high wall, then it could just slide right underneath your template. So having a ruler foot with a high wall, very important. The next thing as we go through here, you're going to want to set your machine up for ruler work, right? Set it up for being able to do this. So there's a few different options for setting up your machines. A lot of fancy machines these days actually have a button that you press that says ruler work. And that's wonderful if you have that option. Other machines, you have to learn how to drop your feed dogs. There's also some machines that you would actually need to go ahead and just set your stitch length to 0 and be able to, let it go. So cover up those feed dogs. So there's some machines where you simply can't drop them. So those are kind of your options there. So as you're kind of getting, understanding the best way, you're wanting to set your stitch length to 0, because you are now the stitch regulator. You're deciding, what the stitch length is with your movement of your hands. And we can talk about a few ways to be more successful with that as well. So then we head over to machine preparation. So, making sure your machine is threaded properly. Clean out your bobbin area before you get going. Making sure that you're using a needle with a larger eye, to allow your thread to move freely as the fabric is moving in all directions. One of the things that I learned a long time ago, I think it was from Donnell, is she has a great class that we've shown quite a bit, where she talks about in that needle and why the needles actually wear out a little bit faster when you're doing free motion. And it has to do with that, because your thread is moving in so many different directions, it's going to go ahead and kind of make it so you're needing to change out your needle more frequently when you're doing any kind of free motion or ruler work. So that's important to understand. Some machines have a pivot or hover setting. You definitely want to try to turn those off if you can, because that's just going to create a little bit more chaos when you're trying to quilt with templates. So that's something else to really consider as well. Okay, so tools for success. So we do recommend needles. So 9014 top stitch needles is what we recommend getting started with. Or you can do the 8012. On the 9014, we recommend using the 30 to 50 weight cotton with that. And 8012, you can go with that polyester. We've been doing a lot with polyester, and it works really great. It's nice and tough. So the next thing that we recommend is to go with to make sure you have a smooth flat sewing surface. Not all extension tables are created equal. Some extension tables, and I want to see if I have a good picture of an extension table, not quite. Some extension tables are nice and round, where some extension tables you can see are really flat. You need flat, and you need flat because if you put that ruler on a rounded table, that ruler will not lay flat, and that will cause problems when you're going up and putting your ruler against your needle area. So I wanted to just show this picture right here. The other piece that you might want is a glider. The glider is going to allow you to, again, move your fabric freely. You're not going to have anything keeping your fabric from moving with ease. So that's really, really important to consider how you definitely want your fabric to move freely as you're doing ruler work, because there's a lot of factors going into it. So you got to keep it simple. And then finally, we want to go ahead and do that ruler foot. We talked about the ruler foot earlier. So we actually have 4 different sizes of ruler foot. The nice thing now is that so many machines come with their own ruler foot. The only thing that we definitely encourage is that you want to make sure it's a 1/2 inch diameter ruler foot. There are a few other options out there. So you want to make sure it's a 1/2 inch diameter, it's closed toed, is ideal. And then, your needle is definitely perfectly center in that opening. So one reason why your needle may not be perfectly center in that opening is because there are some machines that actually have your needle bar is a little bit further away from the shank of your foot. And so in that scenario, we have what we call a high shank special foot. And you'll find these machines are actually in every single brand. So every brand has what we call one of these kind of high speed quilting machines. And those actually do have that space a little bit greater between. And that's where you're going to need that high shank special foot, because your needle bar is a little bit further away than your foot bar. So and so that's something to consider if you're like, well, my needle isn't centered, but it's not centered front to back. That's what's going on. And that's where you're going to want to make sure you get that taken care of. And then the next thing that we have is we do have the high shank and low shank. Those are our most popular. And the big difference there is actually has to do with where your needle screw is in relation to your needle plate. So if you're trying to figure out what you are, we can do it for you. We have a big list of, knowing what makes and models of machines out there, high shank versus low shank. But you can also do it, and you can easily do it by just measuring the distance when your foot is in the down position from the needle from the screw hole down to the needle plate. It's a 1/2 inch or it's a full inch for high shank. And that is the big difference. So what happens if you put a low shank foot on a high shank machine? As you can imagine, that foot is just not going to go as low as you need it to. You can sometimes reduce that height by, changing the pressure of the foot. It'll get closer and closer and closer to that needle plate, but you're going to struggle a little bit trying to put a low shank foot on a high shank machine. And then vice versa, that's going to be a challenge to, if you have the wrong foot for a low shank machine, I don't think it'll work. So keep that in mind. And then as we go through here, we have 3 thicknesses of templates as well. So as we look at that foot height again, imagine putting a high shank template on a low shank machine. Well, it's really actually very possible. You can easily do it. A lot of people ask all the time, can I use my high shank templates with my low shank machine? Yes, you can do it. We just say be very cautious because what you're going to run up against is actually when this needle bar comes down, and it could come down and actually hit and throw off the timing on your machine. If it hits the template, it could break the template. So when you're doing any of our spinning designs, that's when you're going all the way around the inside of a template. You're going to potentially run into some concerns with that. So that's where you're going to be cautious, really cautious when you're using high shank templates on a low shank machine. The other one is using low shank templates on a high shank machine. Same kind of thing. You gotta just want to be cautious. I understand why you would want to do it. If you have two kinds of machines in your home, or you get a new machine and you got a whole bunch of low shank templates out there, then again, what I would really recommend is that you turn off the pivot feature on your machine. Make sure it doesn't try to pop up, every time you pause. But then also lower your presser foot pressure if you can, so that is just writing a little bit closer to the actual needle plate. And you should be able to do that. Just be cautious, and that's what I always say. It's up to you and your confidence using rulers. But this isn't what Leonie loved to say, and I always love to share this with everyone. When you're setting your machine up for ruler work, you do not want to go at a high speed. This is a leisure sport, it is not a race. So you definitely want, if you have the option to set the speed for your machine, set it at a lower rate initially, because you're learning how to use these templates. You're not going to be flying around with those templates. You're going to be going slower. So if you can slow down your speed on your machine to match that, you're going to be more successful, not just with using different thicknesses than you should be, but also just with being able to kind of have that stitch length that you're looking for. Because initially, you're going to be going a little bit slower when you learn how to do ruler work. Now, you watch some of our amazing educators, and some of them actually feel more confident going a little faster now. And so, as they're going fast, you're like, oh, I want to go that fast. And I think that Kathy is one of our amazing educators that actually continues to go pretty slow. So you'll be able to appreciate that for sure, and in her speed. Okay, so some other accessories that we recommend. We definitely recommend a crosshair square. So many of you got a crosshair square. If you got our box, you got a crosshair square in this box. I am so excited about the crosshair square you got in this box. It is a circle crosshair square, but guys, it works for squares too. All you have to do is align that circle design into a square, and you're going to know exactly where that center is. So that's really cool. I love that it offers the 6 and the 8-point designs. I'll have to show it to you on the screen a little bit, because you actually get so many more markings with that. If you're able to, see how you can use it for both 6-point and 8-point designs. But why are we using a crosshair square? Well, number one, we're finding center in a block super, super quick. So that's amazing, because a lot of our designs are start in the center of the block, especially our center designs or our spinning designs. But the other reason why we're using it is because we're also using it to align our templates with, especially our rotating ones, to be able to know I want a 6-point design or I want an 8-point design. So that's super, super helpful. So using the crosshair squares is going to be something that you want to get really comfortable with. Oh my gosh, stable tape. Stable tape is your best friend. What we always recommend on stable tape is, and you can kind of see it in the picture here, but you want to put the stable tape where you're going to be putting your fingers. So I always tell people, when you put your stable tape on for the first time, rest your fingers on the template and put the stable tape in the places where you're going to want to have your pressure on your template. So you can kind of see it in this picture right here, where she's got her finger kind of resting on exactly where her stable tape is. You do not need to press hard on your templates when you're starting to ruler quilt. All you need to do is just rest your fingers right there on your template to get going, and be able to really keep it right and, kind of in that right where you want it. It's going to stay aligned as long as you're putting your stable tape in where you're going to be putting your finger pressure. And again, it doesn't need to be, really, really heavy finger pressure. It's going to feel like it needs to be in the beginning, but I guarantee you, once you relax, you're gonna really appreciate how little pressure you really need. The next really cool tool that we will definitely recommend is our spacing gauge. Now, this is something that you're going to learn how important it is as you see a lot of this education coming through. But the spacing gauge, because so many designs are really married to, that quarter-inch marking, you're going to want to say, okay, I want to come back and be a quarter-inch away from the current design. So you're going to pull out your spacing gauge and use that to determine where your starting point should be. So the spacing gauge really, as you see more and more designs being created, you understand why that's such an important tool. We talked a little bit about the gliders earlier, so that's going to be, what you see right there. But we offer a variety of gliders. We have ruler work gliders, we have free motion gliders, which are Teflon mats, and then we have our grid gliders. I recommend, really any of those are awesome. If you want to do a glider that covers up your feed dogs, maybe you can't drop your feed dogs, or maybe sometimes, things can get caught because when, it creates a little bit of a hole under your needle and under your foot, then getting the circular cutout is really, really important. And that's part of our ruler work glider solution as well as our free motion glider solution. So as opposed to a square cutout, which you see right here, which allows for your feed dogs to be up or down while you're quilting. So I would just check out different glider options and see which one you want to, really use. I know a lot of people love, love, love our grid glider. They use it in all functionality because it's got everything you need right there for being able to get the seams that you're looking for, or just the spacing. Stitching line discs are going to be really fun as you get more into designing, because this allows you to draw out the design before you stitch it. So, in fact, now we have a set that includes stitching line discs, spacing gauge, a little necklace to hold your spacing gauge, and echo guides, which I don't even know that we tell you about echo guides in this little guide, but echo guides allow you to create different sizes of designs with, by putting an echo on your foot. So we'll get into that later. But this stitching line discs come with different sizes of holes, so you can use different types of instruments to be able to create your drawings. And then we do have these cool sketch pads. We haven't talked about these a whole lot in a while, but these sketch pads are pretty great because it allows you to actually notate what templates you're using and how you created these designs. So we have a little guide here where you can write down how you created the design. And then, of course, it gives you all the grid markings so you can go ahead and really be able to accurately create designs based on a block size. So this is something that you might want to consider in the future. But we went through a lot of these getting started tips and tricks already. So again, just as a reminder, getting your machine set up, definitely, drop the feed dogs, set your stitch length to 0, and do a straight stitch or do a straight stitch, I should say. You do not, necessarily want to do anything other than that. And so, stable tape placement, we did talk about that earlier, but putting that stable tape in locations where you're going to be resting your fingers is going to be important. We recommend using our dots, or if you have the strips, cutting them into 1/2-inch pieces. We talked about the needle, we talked about the thread. And like I said, I really, really, I'm going to post a link to this right now so you can access the class. And this is going to be an amazing class for you, which is our beginner essential class. And you're going to just get a whole bunch of fun, kind of classes to get going with ruler work. All right. So enough of our ruler work for beginners guide. I think that we've covered enough of that today. So we'll go ahead. Oh, that's the extension table talk that we shared earlier. You see that a little bit right there. We do talk a little bit about basting as well, which we definitely still recommend. So I think that, Yep, that's all. And then this is in that quilting essential bundle. So getting started with ruler work that I just posted the link to, you get a bunch of different classes that you can kind of jump into and get more confident doing ruler work. So hopefully, that overview was appreciated today. That's definitely something we try to do on the first Thursday of every month. So if you're wanting a refresher, then that's when you're going to get a really good refresher. If not, jump into that quilting essential bundle class on our So Steady University and you'll get more of that as well. So let's head over to Kathy, and she is going to share with us the amazing new arrow panel using the snowflake designs today. So I'm really excited to show this off. I'll be posting a link to the actual class kit as well, and then we might even start a giveaway today. So let's kick this off right now. Thanks, everyone.
Hi, and good morning. Welcome to my happy place. At least it's morning here for a little while longer. Today, what I'm going to be working on is I'm going to be working on the blocks of our focus for Q2 of 2025, and it is the arrow blocks. To quilt this block, we are only going to use 2 templates. What you can see is I've already marked 8 rotations. I've only marked 4. The reason I only marked 4 is because our vertical center and our horizontal center are already marked because that's how the block is pieced. So we will use Spinifex Snowflake number 2 with the 5.5 inch in, and our Snowflake number 1 we don't even need to have a gate into it. So isn't that awesome? So the first step of this block is to go ahead. We're going to pull our thread up in the center. And I have got a light gray thread on this beautiful blue and gray panel. And we are going to make 8 rotations, excuse me. We're going to make 8 rotations here. And this is an awesome template. What I really like about this template is the fact that I think it's a good beginner's template. And the reason that I say that
Well,
is
this is only 20
because
minutes,
it's
so
an inside template,
I feel
not
a
an
little worried
inside
about
curve,
ditching
because
it.
obviously the template is very linear. But being as it is an inside template, it makes it a lot easier to stay on the template. Okay, I'm going to stop right here. The reason I'm going to stop is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to trim those threads. I would normally bury the threads, but I'm only trimming them because we're going to be stitching over that spot several times. And that thread is going to be well secured in the center. I'm going to turn this around, and the reason I'm turning it around is I want you to see exactly how things are going to look. And here we go. This is our second rotation. Nice, straight, linear lines, not forgetting to take an extra stitch when you get to a corner or switching directions. That's going to help to give that point a very pointed point. Okay, there we go. Sorry. All right. Now we want to keep those tips of the snowflakes really nice and pointy. There we go. If you notice, what I'm doing is I'm going across from the rotation that I have just stitched. And why that is important is because it's going to help to ease the fabric in equally. Every time we put a stitch in our fabric is shrinking up just a little bit. So if we can go back and forth, it's going to shrink it up more evenly than if we go around in a circle. Because by the time you get to the last one, you're very likely going to have some bubbling in your fabric if you go around in a circle. But by going across each time, everything stays nice and flat. There we go, back to center. And now we've got our 4 in. We're going to put 4 more. Make sure to line the tip of that template up with the line on the fabric, our reference line. There we go. Taking that extra stitch. Very quick template. I actually did this template on a pillow for Christmas and used metallic thread on it. And it was just beautiful. So get those experiments with different threads. Get those specialty threads out. Try them. Every time you use a specialty thread or something different, it gives a whole new personality to the block. And it's cool because it's your personality that it's given. Whoa, I already did that one. I was going to do that one twice. Not good. Okay, there we go. And these are the last 2 I need to finish up here. And back down and back to the center. Now, when I make this last one and come back to the center, I have some options available to me. One of them is to do some micro stitching so that the thread won't ravel. The other one is to cut the thread and bury it. For this particular project, I'm just going to go ahead and do maybe 4 or 5 micro stitches, and then I'm going to cut the thread off, and that will hold it quite nicely. And there's the micro stitches. All right. Well, off we're going to go. And now we have got the first portion of our block complete. And let me go ahead and get that bobbin thread out of there. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? I absolutely love how that looks. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do some rotations with the next snowflake, and that is going to be our Spinifex Snowflake 1. And yes, our Spinifex Snowflake 1. 1 is bigger than 2. That is the easiest way to remember them. So what we're going to do is we're going to come into the 4 corners and we're going to echo the first rotation that we've put in. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to line up our template at this 7.5-inch line being in the center. So this line will stay in the center. We're going to come here, and you see how we can line everything up so nice and easily. Even without a gate in here, this will work beautifully. So we're going to start in the center. And what that's going to do is it's going to give us access to the four corners, which is where we are going to echo with this template. So let's go ahead and pull that bobbin thread up. I have a mess of thread here, don't I? Oh, well, that's okay. Again, though, we will be able to just clip off this thread because we are going to be stitching it over it several times and it will be secured. All right, go ahead, put that out. I'm going to make sure I've got my snowflake lined up. There we go, both sides. And now we're going to come up. Take your time. It doesn't need to be erased. And what's going to happen is we're going to come out. Take that extra stitch up to the center, back to the side, extra stitch, and now here we come. We're going back to the center of the block. And I'm just going to move my foot up a little bit. This center is going to get bulky. There is no doubt about it. It is going to happen. So don't worry about it. Just take your time, work with it. And sometimes you may want to just hand stitch your foot over and put it down just a little bit here. I'm going to use my spacing gauge. Okay, that's pretty even. And here we go. Remember, you don't need to speed if you don't want to, but if you do, go for it. Nice and steady will give you good, nice, steady stitches. Remember to trust the templates. The template is the one who knows where we're going. And we're going to come back to the center. There we go. We've only got 2 more to put on. Again, lining this 7.5-inch line here. Could you put on a gate? You know, you could. Absolutely, you could. But what is important to know is you don't have to. You can come in at any measurement you want without the gate. So here we go. I love the diamonds. It is so sharp and so linear, which works very well with this pattern. Okay, and there we go. This is our 3rd one. Now let's go ahead and put that 4th one in. And again, 7.5 inches. Got myself all lined up. Get this extra out of the way for you. There we go. I'm tough getting over that lump of thread in the center, but take your time. You'll do fine with it. As I said, but sometimes what I like to do is stop just before I get there, lift my foot up and move myself in. And here we go. I'm going to do some micro stitches there. I'm going to lift my foot a little bit as I move and then move it, and you'll see it comes right back to center. So here we have our first, well, we're not done yet. We are not done yet. Okay, so now we are going to use a partial pattern, and we're going to use our spin effect 1. All right, and we are going to go and line this up so that, let me get my pointer here, so that what we want is this point on the side to be 1/4 of an inch out. This is where we want to line up, is right here. And that is easy enough to do. We're going to start here, and we're going to come around, and we're going to end here. But we're going to then turn our template and keep going. So let's go ahead and get this lined up. There we go. Pull that bobbin thread up. I get that out of my way. Here we go. With that bobbin thread, now I'm going to put my foot down and my needle down. So what I want is I want to be touching this point of the Spinifex Snowflake number 1. And we're going to stitch around to the next point. And there we go. You see how beautiful that works? It fits in there just like it was meant to be there, which of course it was. So, and get rid of some thread there. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to turn my template, line it up again using my spacing gauge. Oh, look at how perfect that lines up. Well, I want to make sure you guys saw that. You see where I'm putting my spacing gauge? It's absolutely perfect. Hi, Lois. So nice to see you. Okay, so here we go. Nice and steady. When you stay steady and you learn how your machine sounds, you're going to have much nicer stitches. And you know what? Don't expect perfection the first time you're doing this. It doesn't happen. It took me a while. I know that. And I'm sure that it's taken other people a while to get there too. I need to move this out just a little bit, but that's not a problem. Up to the top and back down. And we have one more to do up here. Again, line everything up. And I'm going to use my spacing gauge because I just want to be sure. That's perfect. There we go. Don't forget that extra stitch on the top. And we're going to come down just a little, maybe 2 more stitches. Okay, there we go. Just going to make some micro stitches there. And we'll take the template off. And we have got an absolutely gorgeous snowflake there with just 2 templates. How awesome is that? So here we go. This is going to be block A for the arrows blocks for the second quarter of 2025. And there we go. We've got it complete. I certainly hope you enjoy this as much as I enjoy bringing it to you. So until we meet again, let's quilt.
All right. Thank you so much, Kathy. I always, always, always love your education and just how you share it. And I do, and that was why I was so excited to share Kathy's class as kind of our Really Work for Beginners class, because she does it in such an easy to follow way. While this could be somewhat of a technical design, I think she shows you how to do it in a way that's very easy to create. The other thing I love about this design is just how simple it is to be able to go ahead and quilt this out on using just those two templates. So we are going to go ahead and announce a giveaway now. I just posted some details to it. What I want you to do is I want you to go ahead and comment on the post that I just shared to our So Steady page if you can. And what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and just have you tell us what you think. Do you love this design? Would you love to have this design in your library of designs? Then if so, go ahead and like, comment, and share on that post, and we will go ahead and get you entered into that giveaway. So I'm going to go ahead and have you go over to the video and tell us what you think. So anyone that's commented on the video right now, you're already in the drawing. And anyone else, you can go ahead and follow that link and watch the video or not, but you'll be able to win the whole class kit that way. So we're going to be giving away not just the two templates, but you're also going to have the opportunity to win the panel and the quilt instructions. So I'll go ahead and post a link to that right now. Enter to win, and we'll be giving away that class kit on Monday. So go ahead and tell us what you think. Throughout the weekend, if you rewatch this class as well, that's a great way to do it. But this is using the Snowflake Design 1 set. So our snowflakes are sold in two-piece sets, and we have a set 1, a set 2, a set 3, and a set 4. And we're using the Snowflake Design 1 set. Now, someone was commenting that that was kind of hard to find on our website. And yeah, sometimes I challenge a little bit, but I will say I think our website has gotten a lot better in being able to find those items. So I'm going to take you over and show you right now. Actually, I'll remove that and hopefully that will pop up. This is the Arrow Panel Quilt Kit. So you can get this panel quilt kit with a panel, or you can get it with just the template. So if you wanted to get the panel version, then you would go to the Arrow Quilt Kit 13A, and then you can select your shank size if you want the templates with it, or you can just get the practice panel for $15. But if you get with the templates, then you can kind of get a little bit of a discount on the panel as well. Now, if you go to Snowflakes, and I'm just going to type in Snowflake and see what we get. I'm telling you right now, that is the easiest way to find things on our website is less is more. But that actual template set, every two-piece template set for our snowflakes actually is $39. So being able to get the templates with the actual quilt kit for $45 is a really, really good deal. But if you wanted to just get set 1, which you can see all of our gorgeous sets right here, if you wanted to just get set 1, then you can go ahead and do that, and it's a $39 price on our So Steady website. So those are your two options. If you feel like you don't need the panel to kind of practice ahead of time, totally understand. But that's our template set right there. And don't forget to like and comment and share what you think on that design. And, if that's something that you want to win, we'll be picking a winner on Monday. So thank you all for joining us today. I hope you got a little bit something out of this live, whether it was during obviously Kathy's class with the instruction or going through that ruler work guide. Don't forget to download that and head on over to that beginner essential class series that we have on our website or on the university. I did also post a link to that as well. And so you can check that out. I will go ahead and post a link to the snowflake designs right now too. So you can go ahead and access those and be able to kind of take it away. I don't see any questions at this point. So let me know if there's anything else that we can help you with. But we did go ahead and post some different links in there as well. So you can, find what you're looking for, hopefully, in all of our options. All right, everyone, have a wonderful day. And we'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock with Pam Barner. She's going to be diving deeper into crosshair squares and just creating designs with those. So I hope that you can join us. Thanks so much.